We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He's starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Izuku, he don't live in reality. Shake back off, come on fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, and I'm back with you with another new part of What If Izuku Had a Chaotic Quirk. Now, originally, I was going to put this on hold for at least another couple of weeks or so, maybe even next month. However, I decided to bring it back, mainly because, if you guys have noticed, Chaotic is making a comeback, or has already made its comeback. And the spread is wild across Twitter, and I'm loving it. So, to show my love for Chaotic once again, let's make another part of Chaotic Deku. So, let's go have a recap. As time went on with that of the Marillion invasion coming to the end, and the Param Alliance basically also coming to the end, but not broken that of friendships and relationships in the process. As for Izuku, he's basically become completely different from what he used to be. From that of the nervous, timid, and basically shy kid that was afraid of everything during his time in Chaotic, he has now become that of a true Chaotic player. Not to mention, he's finishing up that of his final year at Aldera Junior High, and still plans on going to UA High School. But Bakugo doesn't like that, and even planned on threatening him, of course, with even trying to destroy that of his scanner. But Izuku didn't like that, as he transforms into Rerum and flies off back home so he can get back to Chaotic, where he meets with that of Justella, and even finding out that she's Kristella's sister, twin sister, and the two becoming quick friends, even helping her out, while Kristella wanting to basically screw over Clay for basically manipulating their match after all, with Izuku gaining that of several new Battle Gear scans. And now it's time for his training for UA. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Through the few months that Izuku has had, he's basically been doing nothing but training with Headmaster Akojin, and of course, spending time with his fellow Param creature and royal of the Mepedians, Alfair. However, there was also a little something that he wanted a favor from that of his, Mepedian friend, and that being Psycho wanting to do that of a class report on that of Param, to understand that of different monarchies different from that of their worlds, after all, to have that of different paralations or similarities between the two. Where, of course, Alfair wasn't really too fond of doing this, but as a favor towards Izuku, he decides to do it anyway, giving her a lesson on that of the Mepedian royalty, which gave her a deeper insight on certain creature culture more than before. As of course, it just made her day, where then she thanked Izuku so much to the point that she nearly kissed him, actually. But thankfully, she stopped herself, of course, which made Izuku nearly a tomato what almost happened. Speaking of, he also gave her advice on that of her quirk, to switch up that of the tea she drinks after all, or possibly, maybe even think about drinking different types of tea outside of just the usual tea. Maybe mix blends too. However, would Psycho basically tell Izuku that wouldn't work. However, she never really thought of doing mixed blends before, which once again she really appreciates it. As for his time in Chaotic, he's not really focusing too much on that of beta drone matches or anything like that. Instead, like I said, he's mainly focusing on training with his master and also gaining new musgics, creatures, and also battle gear alongside musgics. That's also where that of Kapu also comes in too, who once again gives that of Izuku new musgics, of course. However, it also came with that of a new bonus for him, as he gained that of a new creature scan, being Siryu, the Servant of Fire, as he always comes to Kapul for that of expertise and understanding with that of destructive forms of musgic, not just that of, underworld musgic, but also generic musgic as well, given that he is a high-ranking muse among the underworld. At first, Siri wasn't the biggest fan of Izuku, given that he is a chaotic player and he's heard about chaotic players. But if his friend and, confidant, Kapan, basically, trust him, he will at least try and put his trust into that of the young human, of course. But seeing that he does help out that of Kapan, Sirin basically decides to at least test his mettle, mainly seeing if he can understand a new musgic that he's been working on, a powerful one at that, called Consuming Cacophony, with Izuku deciding to take it and try and figure it out. As he basically goes that of the, beta drone to test it out with a few underworld creatures. However, when he decided to use that of a fire creature, such as that of Siren himself, he realized that it's a powerful underworld musgic that focuses more on fire attacks, as is able to deal that of 20 damage to a creature and even amplify that of fire attacks by 10. The only downside is that it basically takes up 2 musician slots after all, which means if a creature must have that of either 2 or 3 more musicians to use, because they can't just use one after all. With that, Izuku realized that this is quite the dangerous and powerful musician for underworlders who use fire, which a lot of them do, to be fair. However, even though he's focusing more on training and gathering new creatures, he still has at least a few more drone match if he wants to face against, Codemaster Tyrasis. And of course, he does. However, he has one more opponent left to take on to face against the Codemaster, and that being Tom. And let's be honest, this one was the hardest fight that Izuku had to ever basically go against, because again, this is Tom we're talking about. As Izuku using his best creatures to go against that of Tom, of course, the ones he knows the best battle gear, and the locations that he's the most familiar with, like always. And definitely this fight was one of Izuku's toughest, to be fair. Sure, he's fought against and basically lost to that of Codemasters, but when it came to Tom, the person that he admires the most, that he looks up to here at Chaotic, this feels like something of a milestone that he needs to overcome. And if he can, he may be on his way to being one of the best. As now it's time for that of their final creatures going against one another. Maxor versus Elfer, as one ruler of the overworld versus one of the rulers of the Mepedians. As both players, iconic cards go at it. head to head with then as they go chaotic. And let's just say this was one of the toughest fights that both have actually gone against, with Izuku employing that of hit and run tactics, even using that of a battle gear that he just recently gained in Arrow Drone that amplifies that of, well, all wind attacks based on a creature that uses the wind element, which a fear basically does pretty easily. Of course, Tom is a little annoyed that Izuku is doing hit and run attacks, but he understands why. He's not taking any chances and he wants to win no matter what. However, so does Tom. So Tom basically plays in with that of Izuku's hit and run attacks before then catching him off guard, hitting him with so many attacks that Izuku could barely have time to recover. However, Izuku not stopping there as he gives it his all once again, with hitting Tom with that of multiple attacks, with even to the point that the two even start fist fighting actually, with Izuku having better control and better skill and attacks and strikes given his training with that of his headmaster Akashen, of course. But unfortunately, even with the training, the skills and development, and even dealing so much damage that of Maxor still has so much more power than that of the Crown Prince, unfortunately, which causing that of Tom, which with one final clash with one punch towards Maxor's face, with another towards that of Achin's face, with then. Before anything can happen, that's when a code sound effect happens. But with back into the drone, with the drone saying, and the winner is Major Tom. With Izuku, the one who lost the drone match, and Tom moving on to face against, well, Codemaster Tyrasis. With Tom basically huffing, saying, that one was one of the toughest battles I've ever faced against Izuku. With Izuku saying, glad you enjoyed yourself. And honestly, it was one of my toughest matches too. With then, Tom taking off his scanner before then going to Izuku, offering a hand saying, if anything, facing against you was even tougher than facing against any of the other past Codemasters. Even tougher than Codemaster Krillin. With Izuku hearing that, as he can't help but basically smile a bit. Before then, as the two friends enter out of the drone with no hard feelings. With then, Tom saying, I know you were really looking forward to facing against Tyrasis, saying, yeah, I know, but to be honest, you deserve to face against him too. Before then, Tom saying, hey, Izuku, come back to me to that of the trading station. There's something I want to give you. With Izuku shocked, as even the others heard this, wondering what he meant, as they head back to the main drone, where everybody is hanging out, eating, and also heading to that of Param through the transport scanners, before then heading to that of the trading station, with Tom basically saying, come on, before then, as he brings out one card from that of his scanner as it being a location scan, as he gives it to Izuku. Within, Izuku seeing the scan saying, wait, is that? As saying, yep, Prexor Chasm. It's a copy scan. It's one of the copy scans I had of the Prexor Chasm after all. I think it's best if you have it. Saying, but Tom, this scan is absolutely rare and from Codemaster Krillin. I'm trusting you with it, man. And besides, if you're able to scan any creatures there, it would be useful for when you start to go to UA after all. With Izuku hearing all that, as he can't help but be shocked and surprised that Tom is willing to go this far for him, to help him, as he can't help but begin to start to cry a bit, saying, thanks, I appreciate it, Tom. As the others also can't help but show Tom's, kindness as well. The very next day, while Tom and the others are basically, getting ready for his, drone match, Izuku decided to head to that of Prexor Chasm. Thankfully enough, he gave him the scan about that of the location being a lot more, being clear after all, no longer basically consumed by that virus that destroyed everything in the chasm after all. However, he's aware that the creatures here at Prexor Chasm are a lot more savagery. I mean, look at Chromax, for example, and even Ursus too. However, when looking back at that of Tom and Codemaster Krillin's match, he never really noticed any of the creatures of Prexor Chasm during the war. If anything, they were far from it, to be fair. Maybe it was just his imagination. Maybe that they didn't get involved because of how far Prexor Chasm was. But still, as Izuku goes to Prexor Chasm, and, well, let's just say, first time in Prexor Chasm, did not go so well. He got multiply attacked by multiple creatures, and many of them didn't even bother wanting to speak to him. Outside, until he met that of, Ursus, actually. With seeing that of the large wildebeest-based creature. As he glares at that of Izuku, with Izuku feeling quite nervous, before then saying, "I've seen your type before. Smelvin has spoke of people like you." With Izuku saying, "Smelvin? Oh, he may be talking about Tom." As Izuku saying, "Yes, I'm a chaotic player. I come from a faraway land, actually. I came here to, gain that of scans, actually." Saying, "Scans. Such weird words, you say. Unfamiliar. They remind me of that one human, that one creature that scanned me, that I met before, but I didn't get a chance to meet him many years ago." Is thinking, wait, Codemaster Krillin? As Ursus looked back at Izuku, saying, "You, squishy creature, you are weak. You don't deserve to be here. Leave this place at once." With Izuku going, "I appreciate your concern, but I can handle myself. I have before," saying, "If you called running away like a coward handling yourself, then we have different points of view on how to say how we different from strength." With Izuku getting annoyed at that, before huffing, saying, "Look, just because I can't use, moves and attacks like you, Mr. Ursus, doesn't mean that I'm weak. I have ways to help after all." Ursus hearing that, going to that of the young boy as he goes to his level, for huffing in his face, saying, "Prove it." As Izuku began to help out Ursus a bit, gathering food and even basically leading creatures into traps, allowing Ursus to take them down and basically take what belongings they do have. With Izuku kind of shocked about this, as he wonders why would he do that when they live in the same, cavern after all. Soon Ursus saying, "Years ago, Prexor Chasm was a land where only the strongest can survive. The strongest become strong. However, and not only that, even the land itself wanted to prove its strength. It devoured, it destroyed, and it ate. Until a year ago, it all disappeared. The Prexor Chasm is no longer the land of survival, but now the land of strength. With now the land no longer wanting to prove its power and domination over us, we now have to revive ourselves, grow stronger, become stronger, for every creature for themselves." Izuku asking, why not ask that of, Maxor for support, saying, "Maxor? Why would I, who is that?" Before Izuku's eyes widening, saying, You don't know who Maxor is?" Saying, "No. If you're talking about Chromax is nothing but a fool of a creature." He may have power, but he doesn't have wisdom or brains to lead. With then, thinking about it, saying, Chromax? I know that I remember that Chromax is basically supposed to be part of the Maxor line of creatures, given that he's related to him, but as Izuku coming to a realization saying, Ursus, Mr. Ursus, with then looking back saying, you don't mind if I get a scan of you, do you? Saying, you wish to scan me? Don't worry, it's not an attack or hurt you. It will just take that of image of you, actually, or a portrait, actually, to be fair. Like a drawing. With then saying, fine, do what you want. However, you've made yourself somewhat useful as a guinea pig and pawn and gatherer, so I will accept you. But you are not but let's make this clear, little one. As he points his finger at that of Izuku, before bringing out his claw, saying, you are weak, I am the strong. Remember that. The weak do what the strong want, and the strong protect the weak. Understood? If you return here, remember those words. Got it. With that, Izuku nods. Before then, he gets a scan of Ursus for his deck. Before then, he soon leaves Prexor Chasm, with spending almost his entire day at that of Prexor Chasm, thinking to himself, so is it possible that Prexor Chasm is part of the past and not a separate location of the overworld? If that's the case, then I gotta tell the others. As Izuku about to lock in that of his scan for that of Ursus in his deck, that's when he soon went to go and see how Tom's match went. Within, Tom saying, oh, hey, Izuku. With Kaz going, how did the scan quest go in Prexor Chasm? As he soon shows him Ursus. With everybody quite shocked, even Psycho saying, wow, you got an Ursus scan. Yep, first time there, and it was quite awesome. But also, there's something I want to talk about that of Prexor Chasm, but seeing how you guys look quite down. But then, soon Sarah saying, show him, Tom. Before then, showing him that of his skin that he gained from Hotek, actually. With then saying, wait, isn't that? With then saying, wait, is that Dranikish Threshold? But doesn't everybody have a scan of Dranikish Threshold? With then Sarah saying, yeah, everyone does. With even Peyton saying, same. With Psycho going, I can't believe that Codemaster Hotek would be a sore loser and give it such a common scan card. Within, she brings out that of her scanner, showing off that of her Dranikish Threshold scan. Within, saying, wait, hang on, Tom, could you give me your scanner for a bit? Within, Tom saying, why? Just give it. As Tom basically lends her scanner to that of the white-haired girl, with her saying, that's weird. Your scan doesn't look like what mine is. It has that of lights basically glowing around it. Within, Tom hearing this saying, wait, it has lights? Before, soon, even Izuku noticed saying, yeah. Within bringing out that of his own scan, going through his location scan saying, even I have Dranikish Threshold, and it doesn't have that too. With Tom getting his scanner back and looking at the two, realizing, then that means, with then Cass saying, that means Hotek really did give you a special scan. But I'm guessing now it's time to figure it out though. With everybody having that of a smile on their face, as they all plan to head to Dranikish Threshold. And on the way there, they figured out that, turns out, it's a time machine. A time machine to the past of Param. We found out about this because when we went through, turns out none of the creatures knew about chaotic players at all. Not to mention, when they reached that of a so-called city, turns out the city was barely even finished because it's just being started by that of Kiru, as in the name Kiru City, which is the center of the overworld. And what even caught them all off guard even more is that Kiru is an ancestor of Kaor, the current leader of the underworld, showing that Kaor's ancestors ruled over the overworld before the underworld. For Izuku, it just made tons of theories for that of the kid. For Psycho, it added more to the lore and craziness that is Param. Not to mention, Izuku brought the fact that he believes Prexor Chasm is also a past location scan from especially given the fact that he asked about that of Maxor, but, well, Ursidin never knew who Maxor even was and thought that he was talking about Chromax. With hearing that, it just even made things more serious. But over the time, while everybody was trying to understand and begin to learn the past of Param and how everything was before it is now, unfortunately, the secret didn't last for long. Mainly due to Kaz and his, ego to basically take on every single person that beat him and humiliate him in a drone match. Basically going on that of vendetta matches. And at first, everything was going pretty well until it didn't when he went against that of Sam Shady, the one person he really wanted to beat. However, unfortunately, that didn't last long because Sam knew about us, to be honest. He knew about that of Tom's new scan to Draenig's Threshold, and he also began basically scanning creatures in ancient Param as well. And now it has led to almost everybody in Chaotic knowing about that of Draenig's Threshold's time travel mechanic. And at first, it was small. Not that many people knew about it or even knew how to use it. But over time, everybody figured it out. Every single person figured out how Draenig's Threshold and almost you could find Chaotic players everywhere. Hell, it even gotten to a point that, that young Nazarin from the past basically forced everybody to leave Kiru City at the time. But later on, Izuku found out from Tom that it wasn't for the reason that he thought. It was actually because his apprentice, who he somewhat saw as that of a son figure, actually, not to mention other things that happened behind the scenes. Like, for example, Christella and Clay basically got involved once again as well, going to Marillion territory and basically informing Von Vloot, who has basically been nothing but a servant for the Marillions since, being brainwashed by them and using his army to try and take over Param, but now basically shell of his former self. But Clay and Christella basically gave him one thing, a thing that can basically change all of that, and that was going to Draenig's Threshold, take his army to the past, and basically rewrite history in his own way. Thankfully enough, those of Param, mainly a large majority of magician users, were able to stop Von Vloot, but it came at a heavy cost. That cost being Draenig's Threshold, as the location has now been destroyed by Mazarin's musgic, which means nobody can go to that of Draenig's Threshold. However, this was one hell of an incident that nearly basically changed the outcome and everything of Param, actually, and possibly could have changed the entirety of Chaotic too, as Christella and Clay basically nearly caused another freaking war to happen within that of Param. And because of this, it led to that of a temporary ban between the two, actually. Their code scans have been basically, temporarily suspended for the next year, actually, which catches everybody off guard. Even Christella and Clay, hell, even Izuku was shocked by this, as they have done some pretty screwed up shit, especially a lot of players that may never even come back to Chaotic or even back to that of the real world because of it, because of their bullshit. But for now, actually seeing some, some actual consequences for what they've done, now that is a freaking first. And just like that, Christella and Clay are gone from Chaotic, at least for the meantime, until they make a return after their 1 year suspension ban is done. But at what cost? Nearly an entire location, the history of Param, and everything else, and a lot of creatures could have lost their lives, all because of those two. But even with the two banned, things in Chaotic always still keep moving forward. Like, for example, the current newest craze is that of the secrets of the Lost City. Usually, Izuku would try and figure some things out this. However, Psycho, on the other hand, has made this basically her newest, investigation after all. Currently, Izuku is focusing more on his training for the UA entrance exam, and given his time in Chaotic, he needs all the training he can get now, given that the entrance exam is in that of 5 months from now. While going on that of a scan quest, he heads back to that of the Mepetian Oasis, wanting to meet with that of, Elfric, of course. As soon as he tries to meet with that of his Mepetian royal friend, that's when a certain person basically bursts through the door and also slams him into the wall. As then, seeing that of another elemental, as this time it being the wind elemental servant, Sylph. However, turns out Elfrin was not alone, not just with Sylph, but with also the Mepetian Muge, Enmerel. Within saying, hey, isn't that one of Peyton's friends? As Enmerel basically being a red-skinned lizard with that of, a white cloak over his body. Within, Alfred saying, Lady Sylph, please, put Midoriya down. Within, saying, oh, you know of him, your highness. Within, Izuku, no longer being pushed to the wall, saying, apologies, I didn't know that you were acquainted with his highness. Yeah, I get that a lot. However, it isn't just Alfred, but also Prince Mudimu as well, saying, your chaotic friend is here, your highness. Saying, yes, cousin. What do I owe the visit this time, Izuku? Our training session with Master isn't due until next week. Within, Izuku saying, honestly, I mainly came by to visit, actually. It's been crazy and chaotic, and also my personal life, too. Within, Alfred saying, I see. The age of responsibility, it seems. Saying, somewhat. Sylph offering that of Izuku a hand, getting him up. But saying, and you are an elemental. Sylph, right? Saying, yes. I'm surprised a human like you knows of me. With Izuku saying, well, I did met that of Siryu, actually. With her realizing, Siryu, huh? My fellow elemental. So you are the Izuku Midoriya he talked about, the one who helped him develop his new form of Muge. With then saying, yes, actually. I'm surprised he talked about me. He's taken quite an interest in you, human. And so have I, since within saying, if it's not too much to ask, what is an elemental doing here? If it's not, rude or within, but Prince Mudimu saying such words need to be kept secret, but given that you are the boy who helped out my cousin, I guess it's best we can tell him, right, Alfred? Within, Alfred sighing, saying, the Mepetian royal family wishes to build that of a alliance with those of the Lost City after what happened with the Marillions. Param is still trying to rebuild, and we, not to mention, the Petian Oasis was nearly destroyed by the Marillions as well. We're asking that of the Secret City for support. As for the other tribes, they're dealing with their own problems, such as a plan to basically revive that of the Riverlands in the coming of days. With Izuku hearing that saying, I see, huh? We asked Lady Sylph if it's possible to meet with that of her, that of her leader. With then Izuku saying the leader, with Sylph saying the one true elemental. Leaving Izuku kind of shocked, saying, wait, the elementals have a leader outside of just the tribe that they're based on? With Emerhead saying, it's quite a bit of explaining to do, if you like. With Izuku saying, I mean, I don't mind. It's enough to actually help out that of a friend of mine who's trying to understand the lore of all of Param between all 4 tribes. Within, Elfric saying, that's Psycho Girl that you have a thing for and she has a thing for you. Makes sense. Within, Izuku say, but Your Highness, it's nothing like that. We're just friends. She doesn't have a thing for me either. Within, he blinking multiple times saying, the naivety of youth. Within, were you in the table saying, Lady Sylph, you can explain things to Midoriya if you like. I have some other duties with me and my cousin to take care of. Within, Sylph saying, as you wish, Your Highness. As Sylph and Emberham begin to explain things about that of the Lost City towards Izuku, as he wanting to write everything down, but unfortunately he doesn't have a notebook on him right now, which is a shame because even when he's chaotic code, it does not basically allow him to have a notebook. So he has to try and remember everything down piece by piece. When finding out that each elemental's job is to be that of ambassadors and to help out that of the support of all the other tribes around Param. There isn't no elemental for that of the Marillions, of course. However, there has been rumors of Marillions wanting to, leave the Marillion tribe and join that of other tribes. Due to Ani now being gone, a good majority of them were actually forced to fight because of their king. So this could lead to that of another form of coexistence and peace between that of the tribes. With Izuku hearing that, he can't help but think that Param is improving as time goes on. Maybe for the better. But before he go, he basically gets a scan of Sylph, of course, gaining him at least that of his second elemental creature. As if you think about it, Izuku's, collection of creatures may be what's going to give him the upper hand for the UA entrance exam. And maybe, just maybe, things are starting to look up for him, even with one negative thing after the other. His future is starting to look at least a little bit brighter. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read what you guys have to say. And like I said before, I was moving along when it came to that of season 3 because there isn't really that many episodes and we don't really get any more lore on that of the, Secrets of the Lost City, given that, again, Chaotic ended at season 3. If you guys can give me more lore on that of Chaotic in the comments, that would really help me a lot to basically add more, theories and relationships in between that of time with MHA and Chaotic after all, which would do me a lot of solid after all, to be honest. So yeah, at any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep date videos when I upload the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my other channel, my side channel, my Patreon, and my Cash App. All link in the description below. And remember, if you guys want me to do a what if for the channel or a fanfic on my side channel, please donate that of $4.99 on the channel or more, and I'll do a what if one shot of your choosing and fanfic one shot of your choosing as well. So with all that said, this is Leon Mookie signing out. Later guys, and hope you all take care. Thank you so much for watching and staying to the end of the video.
But there's still so much on my love's channel.
That's right, such as my other What If content and the most recent What Ifs as well.
Not to mention his playlist, where you can watch all of his other What Ifs.
Which, all said and done, this is Leon.
And Shiro.
And you're watching Leon Mookie.